Hello ladies and gentlemen, you're tuning in with Sanas and welcome to Honest Reviews for World of Warcraft Edition. This is where I will rate a game in its current form, so if this video is old, the content may have changed, making the rating I give incorrect. I will be rating the game on the aspects of the actual game, and this is all very opinion-based from my own personal experience. The backstory of World of Warcraft is it's a 10-year-old game where it started in as World of Warcraft Vanilla version, as most people call it. Then it was the Burning Crusade and Wrath of the Lich King. And this is where most of people will tell you that the glory days ended. That is whenever I started. During Wrath of the Lich King, I started this game and played all the way up until Warlords of Draenor, which is the current expansion. I've been in here for 4 years now. So I have been and done nearly everything except for what I'm doing today in this inn, which is horrifying to say none the least. All I have to do is say Goldshire and Moonguard, and most people that watch this video that play World of Warcraft know exactly what I'm watching. The way I determine if a game is a good game is based on the aspects of the game. World of Warcraft is an MMORPG. I'll rate it on some of the key features, like social community. I'm not entirely sure I even want to rate this community. I mean, hell, just reading some of the chats and I'm just horrified at what the hell is going on. Here, let's even go upstairs and yeah, I'm gonna leave now. Don't know why my guy is dancing. I don't want to be dancing. Take that off of me. I don't want to dance. No, I'm a demon. Stay away from me. Anyway, social community, the lore of the actual game, which is part of the RPG. Social community is MMO. PvP, which is Battlegrounds and Arenas. And PvE, raids and dungeons. So let's jump right into it. Let's start at the beginning. Currently there are 13 races and 11 classes in World of Warcraft. There is Human, Dwarf, Night Elf, Gnome, Draenei, Worgen for the Alliance, Orc, Undead, Tauren, Troll, Blood Elf, Goblin for the Horde, and Pandaren, which is the neutral race, which can choose to be Horde or Alliance. There is also an assortment of classes: Warrior, Paladin, Hunter, Rogue, Priest, Shaman, Mage, Warlock, Monk, Druid, and Death Knight, which is an assortment of tanking, healing, casting, ranged, and melee DPS. But none of this all matters to my rating. What really matters is what realm you are on. This is a low pop server. There is only one other person in the starting zone with me, and this person isn't even on my realm. This shows how many people are actually on this realm, and this is a normal time to be creating characters because it is only 7 p.m. Most people are finishing off with their dinners right now and they would be getting on. I even search around a little bit to see if I can find anyone, but there is no one on the server that I can find in the starting zone. This could probably be reflected in more populated areas. This is my own high-pop server that I play on. From the moment we log in, we automatically see 3 other players in the starting zone, and I go to the next part, and I see even more other players. This is going to be heavily reflected in high population areas, like the world PvP areas and raids. What does this all mean for you? What the hell am I talking about? Well, that's what's next. Raids, dungeons, PvP. Alright, raids first. Currently, there's 2 raids in WoW that people are doing. This is High Malt and Blackrock Foundry. Some people have completed these raids, and some haven't, and are still trying today. A raid is where a group of 10 to 25 people, or some variation, go up against a boss that has set moves that can kill you, and a huge health bar. Your goal is to kill them and take the gear and gold as your prizes to move on up the chain and combat the higher difficulties or the next raid. There's a difference in the difficulties as well. Normal, heroic, and mythic. Mythic being the hardest and offering the best rewards. If you are on a low pop server, this is going to be an extremely hard task for you. To gather up a group of 25 strangers and make them cooperate for a raid on one realm is extremely hard task, especially whenever it's a low pop realm where the number of raiders is limited. So Blizzard made systems like the LFR system and the Q system so that you can experience this content without a realm restriction. High pop realms won't have this trouble because all you have to do is look in trade chat and somebody will want on another raider. Currently the raid system is everywhere though, and most people are still getting stuck in high mall. Even though the next tier rating is out and being completed, this is because of a number of reasons. RNG gods hate them, skill-based reasons, or game-based reasons. RNG gods is your chance of receiving that last trinket, that last weapon, or that last pair of gloves that is holding you down and still getting gold each time you kill the boss. Skill-based reasons are mistakes made by the player, like standing in fire, which would kill you, going somewhere you shouldn't, which is killing you, pulling something you shouldn't, or doing something incorrectly, which will also end up killing you, or your entire raid. Game-based reasons are when the boss is too hard. I'll pause for your laughter. Are you done? Good, because there is glitches in the boss fights of Highmaul. When Highmaul first started and Brackenspore was titled as the first problem boss, I started to record it and noticed its glitch, and it was known by Blizzard. The glitch was whenever the fight started, moss would creep from the outside edges of the room, and this moss would heal the boss. The glitch was the moss was growing a bit quicker than wanted, and growing in random areas that it shouldn't have been able to. This would then heal the boss and cause a raid wipe. A raid wipe is where everyone dies in the raid and resets the boss. This was a problem that was out of our hands and we were unable to handle the boss because of the problem. Other problems like a raid-wide AoE doing too much damage is different. To that, it's just something that needs a tweak or more gear. Currently when raiding, I am stuck in the first tier, not because of boss problems or gamer problems. I'm still collecting pieces of gear and stuck there for an entirely different reason. While trying to find a raid, there is such thing as raid requirements. Sometimes it's good, sometimes people overdo it. When the raid first came out, normal high mall required a level of 620 gear to clear, with good players. Even some bad ones, and you would still kill a few bosses, and then benefit greatly from the rewards. And most would already have higher eye level due to the fact that heroic dungeons gave you 630 eye level of gear. Today, people require for the same raid eye level of 640 gear, or you will not be invited. For those people that are short, they have to wait. Do you see this problem? I'll explain further. To get into High Mall Normal whenever the expansion first came out, you needed heroic eye level of dungeon gear when it started. Now, in order to get into normal High Mall, you are required to do one of the most detested things in World of Warcraft, the LFR system, and be lucky enough to get gear to get 640. Even if a piece dropped from every boss, you wouldn't make it to 640, dooming you to 2 weeks of LFR and waiting. There is the big problem. And this problem repeats itself. For the higher tier of rating, it's requiring even a bigger gap. In between the two raids, you can do this. Because of the current state the raids are in, the problems holding down the players, I give the raids and the rating system a 6 out of 10. It's too hard for them to make it solely on the gear, and missing many good players are stuck because they don't get drops in too high of requirements. Ah, dungeons, the antisocial grouping. This will take a much shorter time to explain and rate. I can already give you a rating on the dungeons, 8 out of 10. Recently when Blizzard made dungeons harder, they unknowingly made it more social because you had to ask others what specific things to do, and if there was any cool tricks to complete the dungeon quicker, as well as a little bit more fun to complete. Now what do I think is wrong? Currently, if you join a dungeon group, it will pair you up with 4 random people who are extremely overgeared for it due to LFR gear, rating gear, or other means of high eye level gear. Eye level means gear that is scaled for a certain strength. How one piece of gear will give you 5 stamina, another will give you 10 stamina with a higher eye level. This makes the dungeons too easy but still dangerous at the same time, because the attacks of the bosses will still kill you, and the threat of too much stuff attacking you is still there. I don't like that dungeons are looked down upon so much because of the gear that they drop or the absence of difficulty. What could they do to fix this? They fixed it with challenger dungeons, which give you a timer to complete the dungeon, and force your own eye level down by scaling your gear down temporarily. As well as cool looking rewards and prizes, there's definitely incentive to take those dungeon challenges. Right now, they're taking steps in the right directions for dungeons. I want to see more difficult dungeons and challenges in the future, but that's all I got for dungeons. On to PvP. Battlegrounds are zones in which PvP is a focus in a number of different ways. Warsong Gulch is capture the flag, Arathi Basin is domination, and Eye of the Storm is a mixture of the two. There's quite a few other different versions of these games. Currently, when winning one of these battlegrounds, you will gain a small amount of honor points and a box that you can open up for PvP gear. PvP gear is normally purchased with these honor points, which is now much easier to gain solely from these boxes. It used to be much harder. Most battlegrounds now are won solely on the number of healers on each side and who has the better group of attack first. Rated battlegrounds are organized versions of these battles, which they focus on the objective to win the battleground and gain the higher tier of points called conquest points. After gaining conquest points, you can buy the better versions of PvP gear that are offered at the honor level. Now to talk about world PvP zones like Ashran and Wintergrass, what Wintergrass used to be and what Ashran is today. Wintergrass used to be the max level world PvP zone that you could fly over and notice all the war that's going on. Today, Ashran is a world PvP zone where it is based solely on PvP or was expected to be. Today is a group of minigames where no real PvP combat takes place. From what I experienced, this world PvP zone was a failure in all sense. I will not bother going into the existing problems because we would be here for quite a few hours if we did. So I will just give Ashran its own rating, 3 out of 10, and I will leave it at that. Arenas are competitive versions of PvP where groups of 2, 3, and 5 go up against other groups of 2, 3, and 5. Today, I have some complaints for it. Currently, it isn't about skill with the class or what character you are playing, but it is actually based on what the combination you are doing with your class. Currently, if you aren't playing specific class combinations, you will not make it very high in the standards of arenas. But these battles take place in specific arenas and are quite fun, but being beaten down because of standards makes the arenas a dull feature. For the arenas, I give out a 6 out of 10. Specifically for these reasons. What they could do to fix this, though, is they could make it more based on the skill with your class instead of what combinations you do. To explain the lore in short, the Titans came to the world of Azeroth and saw that it was plagued by old gods. They imprisoned them within the planet and left it after reshaping it, and then leaving behind protectors as well. The Burning Legion's leader, Sargeras, is one of these titans, and he released the demons upon the worlds and started destroying other worlds as well. Thousands of years has passed, and as well as thousands of stories, until you reach the Azeroth that we know today. The lore is expansive in this game, and gives origin stories for nearly everything that I think of, as well as more story and lore time that I could ask for. To fully understand and know the lore of this game, I will leave you a link in the description to Novel87's YouTube channel. He has read and recorded the great deal of the lore, and I have watched every single video he has uploaded. For this, I will give the lore and the RPG element of the game an 8.5 out of 10, because there are still empty holes in the lore stories, and they need explaining, as well as some of the stories that we are creating today have holes as well. The social community is both an expansive topic and a weird one, as you saw with the inn in Goldshire on the server Moonguard. So I'm not going to really rate the whole thing because I'm not entirely sure how to rate it. So instead I will rate it on the ability and the encouragement of group content. The ability to do this content is 10 out of 10. There is no real way to not do the content without a whole bunch of people to go with. But there is no real encouragement because of the LFR. Most people don't have a need to see the higher difficulties because they already killed the boss. Why do the boss over and over again just to do the boss at a slightly higher difficulty? The dungeons becomes literally worthless as well because the rewards are only vanity for the looks. If you don't like the looks of the things, then they're just kind of there and they don't mean anything to you. Most people stop doing dungeons the moment they get into LFR. So the encouragement is 3 out of 10, but the ability to do this content is 10 out of 10. So I'll rate the social community at 7 out of 10, and I'm not going to try and rate what you find in trade chat and general chat and everybody that talks around you, because that is a very different topic that changes with every zone you go to and with every person you meet. Some people can be assholes, some don't have to be, and they don't choose to be. I'm now going to elaborate on some of the features that I was talking about, like LFR and LFG. If you've never heard of this video game, well, not video game, computer game, then you probably wouldn't have heard of LFR and LFGR, and I didn't go on about questing whatsoever. So far, the questing experience is what I'm going to start with. The questing is dry, dull, boring until you get killed by some random max level character. And then it's slightly more interesting because you have to figure out a way to run away. But so far, up until Cataclysm and then from Cataclysm on, the questing experience hasn't changed whatsoever and it's been boring the whole way through. As well as they provided heirlooms and ways to get these things that increase your experience so you skip half the zone anyway. So not only do you not do or pay attention, not really not do, you don't really pay attention to what quests are talking about. You don't even do half the zone. You leave after you hit that cap because all the mobs aren't giving you experience anymore. So far the questing, it's in a really bad spot right now. It's pretty terrible. With LFR, it's looking for raid is what it stands for. It pairs you up with 25 other people, well 24 other people, and you go and do the raids at a lower difficulty than normal. Well, what does this do? It allows anyone to see the end game content. There's problems with this. This stops people from wanting to continue doing the bosses, because they've already farmed these bosses so many times to do normal. Then they farm normal so many times to do heroic. Then they farm heroic so many times to do mythic. And they just farm mythic to go to the next raid. This burns out people very quickly, and LFR is just starting it sooner. So I think LFR should not really exist in the way that it currently exists. I say a way to change LFR would be take out the LFR difficulty and change it so that LFR is doing normal. This would probably cause a lot of problems with most of the casual raiders, but it would also probably help them a lot as well, because they are grouped with 24 other people that are doing the same boss, and they probably might know how to do the boss. But the problem is still there because they see the end game content. There is no encouragement to continue doing the raids, so there's no reason to go farther up in the difficulty chain. LFG is also an antisocial grouping though. It's looking for group, which is technically looking for dungeon group. You get paired with 4 strangers, no one ever talks, and you do the dungeon, then you leave with your prizes. As I said during that section, I think they need to increase the difficulty or reduce the reward on both of these. Either way, this is an honest review of World of Warcraft, and I want to give you my rating of the actual full game and its current form right now. Right now, I think I would give World of Warcraft a 7 out of 10. and I'm going to continue play it. And I will not suggest that you should buy it and play it, or I will not suggest that you shouldn't buy it or play it. I'm not going to give you any suggestion. That's always up to the player. And that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe. And this is Stas, tuning out.